To Atlanta News First reporter Abby Kastouris, who's at the state capitol and has been there throughout the morning, and really talk about what's going to happen there, Abby. From what we understand, it will be brief, that the president's vehicle will stop there, an opportunity to pay homage and reflect as well. What will happen?
The motorcade is expected to stop right around 3 o'clock and then head on right around 3:05. But during that brief moment of silence, it's really a way for lawmakers all over the state of Georgia to pay their respects to the mark that Jimmy Carter has left here on our state. I don't know if you can take a look at the top of the dome where the flags are at half-staff. That is to honor former President Jimmy Carter. He was elected Georgia's 76th governor in November of 1970. During his inaugural address, he declared, "I say to you quite frankly that the time to end racial discrimination is over." And a part of that is really memorialized here in his legacy today. When he became governor, there were only 3 African Americans who were members of state boards and commission. There were 53 when he left state office. His efforts to include human rights and equality are really something that he is remembered for, and it all really started here during his time as governor of Georgia.
Abby, thank you. And of course, you mentioned one of those very famous statements that former President Jimmy Carter said when he was elected governor of Georgia. And just to reiterate that, because at the time, that certainly did not go over well. Of course, at the time, in that day and age, segregation was a very large part of Georgia. When he was elected, Jimmy Carter said the time for discrimination is over, and went on to say no poor, rural, weak, or black person should ever have to bear the additional burden of being deprived of the opportunity of an education or a job or simple justice. Abby, if you could talk a little bit more, because really that was former President Carter's goal, to help make sure that schools were integrated, that blacks and poor had an opportunity for an education just like everyone else. He said that is the reason he went into politics.
During his time in the state Senate, he actually chaired the Education Committee, and it was definitely one of his passions. It was creating more equality, not only here in Georgia, but then when he was elected president as well. There is a story that is famous for what he was able to accomplish. Lester Maddox, the governor before him, had refused to fly the flags at half-staff here at the state capitol after Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. And then when he took office in 1974, he commissioned a portrait and now hangs here at the state capitol of Martin Luther King Jr. And that portrait is something that a lot of those tour groups, elementary school, middle school, high schoolers, they get to hear that story and appreciate how ahead of his time he was, standing on the right side of history.
Abby Kastouris live at the state capitol for us. Abby, thank you. We'll get back to you in just a moment. Right now on the left side of your screen, you can take a look at the motorcade. These are live images right now of the vehicle carrying former President Jimmy Carter leaving Plains, Georgia, on its way to the Georgia State Capitol. So there will be a brief stop there. Then it will head to the Carter Center, where we do expect to have a service